Hey guys, Christina here and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, I'm working on my piece for the monthly Art Addicts Alliance collaboration, and we are all working on artwork inspired by the team Apocalypse Paradise, which is a very interesting team until you start thinking of a concept for a drawing and you realize just how intimidating it is. Um, but nevertheless, I'm pretty proud with what I came up with, and I'm really happy with the concept for this piece. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I don't know, I hope you still enjoy it. Uh, and before I get into explaining what I wanted to achieve with this piece and what inspired it, I wanted to really quickly tell you that you can actually win this original artwork. There will be a Google form in the description of this video, so if you just open that and you leave me your name and your email address, you have a chance of winning this artwork. I'm gonna send it out to you. My only thing is, please, if you're not over 18 or 18, ask your parents for permission, because if you win, I'll have to ask you for your address and I don't want to get you into trouble. So make sure you're allowed to give me your information. I am going to contact the winner next Friday. I'm going to randomly select one of the people who entered, and I'm going to contact that person to let them know that they won and ask them for their information. Now, this was my first time using Google Forms, so to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. So if the link is not working or you're experiencing any problems at all, please let me know in the comments of this video or email me. My email is always in the description of every video. Just let me know so I can fix things and make it easier for you. That was just the easiest way I could think of doing this without asking you to comment on this video, which I think goes against YouTube rules or whatever. So yeah, let me know if there is any issue. Another announcement that I want to make is that there won't be a poll for next month. We actually came up with something on our own, and I think you're really gonna love it. It's pretty different, and I feel like outside everyone's comfort zone a bit, so I'm sure next month the artwork's gonna be really, really awesome. So let's focus on the current piece, because I think I covered everything else that I needed to say. So this piece was inspired by a story that I read a few years ago, and I spent the entire month of August trying to remember who wrote that story and what's the name of the story, so I can tell you in this video in case you're interested and you want to read it. But unfortunately, I had no luck, and I honestly don't know who wrote this. At this point, I borderline think that I had a dream about it. I don't even know if it's real. No, I'm pretty sure it's real. So I'm gonna tell you the story really briefly, and some of the details might not be very precise because, as I said, I read it a few years ago and I didn't have a chance to reread it before this video. But if you recognize the story, please let me know who wrote it and what's the name of it. Because I think it's Ray Bradbury. My dad thinks it's by Ray Bradbury as well, because I went through a stage where I read everything by Ray Bradbury, but I was going through my books and I just couldn't find this particular story. So I don't know if the title is something really obscure that doesn't scream to me this is the right story, or if it's just not his story. But anyway, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. So the story goes like this. It has to do with a time where society is struggling with overcrowding. So they came up with new laws that kind of determine how much space each person gets, and the number was something ridiculous. It was in like square meters, and it was something absolutely insane. It was pretty much the size of a bed. This is what you get, this is where you need to live. And the old buildings, you know, the way we design them now, were still standing. So you get a house that nowadays would be, you know, a house for a family with like 2 children or 3 children. You get something like that. But at this point in time, you would have 50, 60, 70 people living in there, depending on how big the house was. And the main character of the story was renting in a house like this. But they either didn't have enough room for him, or he didn't have enough money to pay. But he was renting a wardrobe. He actually had to live in a wardrobe in the hall, and he didn't even share a room with someone. He was just living there on his own, and he really hated it. So, uh, a big portion of the story is about how much he hated living there. And then one day he was walking around the house with one of his friends, and they discovered kind of a hidden room that's been forgotten, and no one was renting it, no one was living in it. It was a normal sized room, right? So they got really excited because they were thinking they can move into that room and live there together, just the two of them, and that was way more space than what they would have gotten otherwise. This was kind of against the rules, and it was more space than what was allowed. So they moved in there, but soon they started talking and letting other people know about the room, and other friends. And these friends were like, well, can we move in? So some people started moving in, and they were telling more people about the room. And soon they had to start putting up curtains in the room and dividing it, so everyone got their, personal space. And it got to a point where it was absolutely ridiculous, and living in that room was just as horrible, if not more horrible, than living in the actual house. And the main character found himself in a situation where he realized he preferred to move back into the wardrobe, because even though it was a wardrobe, at least it was his space, it was his area. And that's how the story ends, with him moving back into the wardrobe and being happy about it. Or at least this is what I remember of the story. So I really wanted to capture that moment of the guy moving back into his wardrobe after that moment of realization that this space is good enough for him and he likes it. So I wanted to draw almost an architectural drawing, a section through a building, and I wanted to inhabit all the rooms with different people who are like pushing and shoving and trying to adapt to the tight space that they have to live in. And all of that is kept in the grayscale. And then I had the main character in his wardrobe kind of being like peaceful and happy, because he found his paradise in this kind of time of turmoil, kind of maybe months before the apocalypse or years before the inevitable apocalypse, because overcrowding can absolutely be have catastrophic effects. And I kept him in this circle of color, which again is something that we often do in architectural drawings. If you've seen some for like presentations, especially if it's like if you want to highlight a specific element of the drawing, you would keep that in like a circle of color, and you would make that really detailed, and then you would keep everything else as a line work or just in the grayscale. And I thought it was only appropriate for a drawing that was exploring overcrowding and the effects that it has. So I'm really happy with the way this piece turned out. I wish I worked on a larger scale. I think ideally I would have loved to work on an A2 size of paper, because it would have allowed me for more details. But because I'll have to mail this to someone, and I didn't want to have to ship posters to someone, I decided to keep it on an A4, because this is kind of like a standard size. You expect to receive an A4 size artwork usually. So hopefully you guys like it and you understand what I had in mind with this piece, and you can appreciate the idea, and hopefully you know who wrote that story, because it's really bugging me. But anyways, let me know what you think about this in the comments of this video. Like it if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to enter the giveaway if you're interested in winning this piece. I know it's not my usual style, but hopefully you like it. Anyways guys, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.